And I'm Tanner.
And you're listening to the Sencilla podcast, a conversation about simplicity.
Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sencilla podcast. This is Tanner. I'm here with Emily. And today we are going to talk about our story. Okay, so I'll start out by asking you, tell us a little bit about where you're from, how you grew up.
That is the hardest question for anyone that grew up with a military parent. I did grow up in Canada. I was born in Ontario, which is where a lot of the military bases are in Canada. My dad is in the Canadian Air Force. And when I was in high school, I moved to the United States because he was on exchange at Scott Air Force Base, which is in Illinois. So I went to high school in Illinois, near St. Louis. I was a swimmer my whole life. That was my sport in high school. I also played lacrosse. I did some musicals, something you don't know about me.
I did not know that. What musical did you do?
Well, Beauty and the Beast was my first. It's my favorite Disney movie, so I decided to try out, even though I was not a singer, and I was cast as the knife.
The knife?
The knife.
Did you wear like a butter knife suit?
Oh yeah, sure did.
That's
I'll have
pretty
to
cool.
show you pictures.
I actually wore a butter knife suit for Halloween one time.
No way.
Yeah, there was this YouTube like meme video thing called Knife and Banana. You ever seen that?
No.
It's ridiculous, but me and my buddy dressed up as the knife and the banana one time for Halloween.
We'll have to post pictures of us in our knife suits later on.
All right, sorry I interrupted. Continue.
Anyways, after high school, I decided to go to the Air Force Academy for college. My dad kind of told me that there were more opportunities in the U.S. military, so I did that instead of the Canadian military. And my mom is American, so that's how I became American, for all of those wondering. I went to the academy. I studied a lot, marched around a lot. It's a military school, so didn't have a whole lot of free time. The summer times at the academy, you do military training. So I pretty much stayed there for 4 years. And when I graduated, I got really lucky and they offered me a scholarship to go to France to get my master's degree. So obviously I jumped at that opportunity and I moved to Strasbourg, France. Sounds German, I know, it's on the border, for 2 years and did my master's in international relations. And so that was basically my job. It was just to go to school. I did a program in France. The master's degree is 2 years. So the first year is international relations, like general. And then the second year, I specialize in international security. And then I got a call. I was supposed to go to California next after I finished my master's. I finished my thesis. I was packing up to go. I was going to leave in 2 weeks, and one of the people that is in charge of our assignments called and said, so we messed up your move, and how do you feel about going to Japan? And I knew nothing about Japan at the time, but I knew that I loved to travel. The past 2 years had been kind of my awakening to how much I did love to travel. I went to a ridiculous amount of countries, kind of every weekend. That was my favorite thing to do while I was in Europe.
Were you upset that you got your assignment changed to Japan, or were you happy?
I was a little bit upset at the time because I had a lot of friends in California where I was going to go, but I had this kind of like motto that I was just going to say yes to everything and, not burn any bridges. So I just said yes. And I was like, I don't know what's about to come, but hopefully it will be a good opportunity. So I moved to Japan and it was weird. I just spent 2 years speaking French and doing a master's in French and learning all about Europe. And then they sent me to Japan.
What do you think you liked better, Japan or Europe or France, I guess? What do you think was the better experience, or were they equal?
That is a really hard question. I have really never visited anywhere I didn't love. So, but in Japan, I did live on the water. Like I could walk out of my apartment and with my paddleboard and take 10 steps and be on the beach. So that part of it was pretty life-changing. I think the day-to-day in Japan was the location was better, but in France, in Europe, you can travel so easily. Anyways, so in Japan, I worked for the Air Force, and I'm a personnel officer, which basically means HR in the civilian world. So I worked admin, basically. I was an event planner for the Air Force Base for a year, and then I worked as an executive officer, which is basically like a assistant to like a CEO of a company, in civilian terms. So I did that, and then I got hired to teach French at the academy. So there you go. I do speak French. Yeah. They trusted me to come and teach the students, which was really cool. I really liked being back in an instructor role. And I got to be in charge of sending the cadets on international exchanges for semester and summer language immersion programs, which is really cool because that's kind of what changed my life. And I really believe in the power of travel and everything that it can teach you. So it was a rewarding job for sure, until they tried to send me to San Antonio to work in a back office, and I just didn't want to do it anymore.
So what does a day in the life look like as an Air Force officer? What do you do every day?
My experience in the Air Force has been kind of weird because I haven't really worked in my career field much, but basically as an Air Force officer, you can expect to sit behind a desk all day and answer emails. It's similar to probably any other corporate, business office job where you go to work. I have been mostly in jobs where I'm not in a leadership position. So I've been in charge of, anywhere from 5 to 10 people, nothing huge like you, but
sounds peaceful and nice. Wish that was my experience.
Yeah. So I go to work at 7:30. You have to stay till 4:30. Usually you're staying longer to, do all the work that didn't get done during the day. And most of the time you're in a little windowless office answering email. I liked working at the academy because I was a teacher, and I got to go into the classroom for a couple hours a day and actually be, an advisor to students and things like that, which was a lot more interaction. But usually you're on your own, answering email, making phone calls.
Did you want to be a pilot when you went to the academy?
I actually went to the academy because I wanted to be an astronaut. And to be an astronaut, it's a super long road, but the best way is to be a pilot first. So that's why I went to the academy.
Is that how people get to be astronauts?
Some, yeah.
From the
There
Air
are
Force?
some slots every year from the Air Force, except for when I went to the academy and they basically closed down the space program. And
So hold on, they take a cadet from the academy, and when you graduate, they go, to NASA?
No, you have to be a pilot first. So basically you would go and be a fighter pilot for a couple years, maybe go to test pilot school, and then you would apply to be an astronaut. Or you could be an engineer from the academy and work for a couple years and then apply through the astronaut program.
Did not know that. That's interesting.
But that wasn't really the case. When I was in school, they paused all of that, and they weren't accepting any applications for a very long time until like 4 years after I graduated. So that kind of squashed that dream a little bit. And then I moved on.
And now you're here in Colorado. Once
Here I
again,
am.
it's come full circle.
It really has. And you're also in Colorado. So how did you get here? What's your story?
Okay, so I grew up in Oklahoma. Went to high school in Oklahoma. Went to college in Oklahoma at Oklahoma State University, where I did ROTC. So I did 4 years of basically military training, a few days a week while, doing classes at a regular university. So you're basically a regular student while doing some military classes on the side. When I graduated college, I commissioned. So I became an officer the day I graduated college in the Army and went to Virginia where I had my, initial officer school. And I ended up at Fort Eustis, Virginia, which is about 40 miles west of Virginia Beach. Pretty nice place to be. Spent 4 years there as a transportation officer where I basically did a lot of movement coordination, transportation coordination. I spent some time as a platoon leader and an executive officer in a truck company where I had anywhere from 55 to 175 soldiers or just, people underneath me.
What does it mean to be a platoon leader?
Platoon leader is basically the first command position, or not even, it's not a command position, the first leadership position that an officer takes in the Army, basically, right? So I had about 55 people underneath me as like a 22-year-old just out of college. So yeah, so I had 55 guys, about, I don't know, $20 million of equipment that I signed for, to include, giant trucks, lots of them in forklifts and things like that. What I did every day was, our job was, we were one of the only truck companies on the installation, so anytime anything needed to be moved up and down the East Coast out of that installation, my guys would be the ones moving it. So, I would receive these missions and plan and coordinate and make sure that those things happen safely and efficiently and on time. So that's what I did for about 4 years. And I also did, like I said, the executive officer, which is kind of what you were saying, where you're more of like a day-to-day operations manager, kind of the back end, I guess, like the back end admin management, sort of making things run day to day. Okay, so after those 4 years in Virginia, I went to my mid-tier officers course, which was also in Virginia. So I spent a lot of time in Virginia. That course was for basically preparing logistics officers, transportation/logistics officers, to move up and be prepared to take and plan for larger operations for larger units and more types of units in the logistics realm. So that was a lot of fun. Lived in Richmond for about 6 months, and then I moved to Colorado after that, where I was assigned to 10 Special Forces Group. And there I spent time as a support operations officer who handles all external support requirements for that group, and they're operating in Europe and the Middle East. And then after I did that for about a year and a half, moved over to a Battalion S4, which is a logistics officer position, where I served as the senior logistician in a group of about 800 people, in a unit of 800 people.
What was your favorite thing and least favorite thing about all your jobs in the military?
So I will say, comparing being an officer to an enlisted soldier, I enjoyed being able to decide what we were doing. I kind of like decide our fate. If something didn't make sense, I had a lot of freedom to not do that thing and make my guys not do those things, or, time that I could give to them, that would be something that I would do. I don't really enjoy the type of military leaders who keep you there until 5 o'clock, no matter what, just to keep you there. I like to get things done fast and efficiently and let people have time to do what they want and spend time with their family. So I know that as an enlisted person, I may have not had that freedom. So I think that's what I enjoyed the most, and just the people and some of the travel experiences. And I think just the leadership experience in itself really is good. I think I enjoyed that. Also, like, just being able to find yourself in a lot of weird situations or things that you've never done before and having to figure it out quickly and just make it happen. So you learn how to learn quickly and avoid making mistakes twice. What about you? What do you think the favorite thing about all of your jobs were?
I really liked the constant changing in experiences and environments. And kind of like you said, like, never really doing the same thing over and over again. So like I got to travel so much in the military, and I got all these cool experiences, and I changed jobs every year, which really made me able to kind of adapt and be super flexible. And I think that will be helpful. I think a lot of things we learned in the military will be helpful in what we're trying to do next. We definitely are grateful for the opportunities we had, and I think we both kind of found out what we liked and didn't like as we progressed in the military. So, like he said, or like you said, the freedom and the decision making and the flexibility and the change in environment and all those things are the things that we liked. And so we're going to search for that in our next job.
In our next job. In the next stage.
In our next job.
Anyways, yeah, so I guess I'll talk about, I actually did get to travel some also. Not just you. I went to, just for work, I went to Korea and all over the U.S.
I really haven't done anything in the U.S.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of places in the United States and Korea. I've done some traveling in Europe on my own, Mexico and stuff like that, but not as much as you have. But that's why I'm excited. Can't wait. Ready to get back out there. Okay, so
we both ended up in Colorado. And we were working on different sides of the city. I was in the Air Force. You were in the Army. I was up north. You were down south. How did we meet?
On Bumble, a dating app.
We sure did.
What do you think about dating apps?
Honestly, I was pretty judgy at first. I didn't really want to do it. Got signed up by some friends. And honestly, I didn't really want to tell this story because sometimes it just seems like a new agey way to meet someone. But I think it's pretty cool. I think we wouldn't have met otherwise. I don't think that our lifestyles really would have allowed us to run into each other. We both really like to do things outside. Like Tanner likes to be on the lake, in a kayak in the middle of a lake on weekends. And I'm usually traveling somewhere else or hiking or, out on a paddleboard. So we probably wouldn't have met each other otherwise. And so I'm actually really thankful for dating apps. And I think that if they're used appropriately, I think they can be really good tools for, meeting the kinds of people that have the same interests as you and are going to be compatible with you in the long term.
Yeah, if you think about it, talking about the things that we like to do, like we wouldn't have met each other at the bar.
Yeah, no, we don't really do that. So
I would be out hiking or fishing or camping and you'd be traveling all over the place and we would have probably never met.
For sure.
I don't know how we would have. So pretty cool. Hey, got lucky, right? And even then you were pretty busy with traveling often. And I remember you telling me that you're gone every weekend. You're not going to have a lot of time to spend with me. And it was kind of weird because I knew I was going to get out, in 6 months or so from when we met. So that was pretty, that might have been rough. But then COVID happened and we ended up spending every second together for 3 months, 4 months straight because we weren't allowed to leave and neither one of us were going into work anymore. So
can I tell them why I picked you on Bumble?
Yeah.
So there was this question that was if you could eat one meal for the rest of your life and never eat anything ever again, what would it be? And he put tacos. And I was like, yes, we're going to be very compatible. I literally said, if you can eat tacos for the rest of your life, we can be friends. So, yeah. And what did we do on our first date?
You eat tacos.
We sure did.
We did. It was good. And now we eat tacos every other day.
We do.
It's great.
We eat a lot of tacos. They're good. What can I say? So what do you think COVID did for us? Obviously, it is a pretty traumatic situation in the world and it's causing a lot of damage and a lot of negative things. But what would you say is the biggest positive that came out of it for us?
The amount of time we got to spend together before this giant transition happens. I think that, I don't know, we wouldn't have spent a whole lot of time together. Now we've gotten the chance to do so.
Yeah, I was working, 7:30 to 5:30 type thing before, then going to classes at night and then traveling every weekend. So like when the first time we went out together, I was about to go on a trip for 2 weeks to Oman for work, and I had like one night free in that week. And I was like, well, guess we better take advantage before I leave. And then, we actually ended up seeing each other twice in that week. And then I left. And I probably, when I would have got back, we wouldn't have been able to see each other again for another couple of weeks because of how busy I was and just like where we live in the city. And then when I got back, basically a couple of days later, COVID hit, and we were like, okay, well, I guess we're quarantining together, a week after we met. And I think that really changed the course of our relationship. So,
yeah. And I think another thing positive, at least for me, is I decided to leave the military, in the fall. It's now the summer. And we've been not quarantined, but we did a lot of teleworking for about 3 months. So it gave me basically like an extra 4 months of planning and preparing myself to leave. And that's kind of how, this whole sailing and all this whole new big idea and plan.
So on our first date, he was like, yeah, I'm probably going to get out. Not really sure when. I'm going to go back to Oklahoma and just, start a business with my dad so I can be closer to family. And I was like already planning on getting out of the military in January. But I, after the fact, was going to go to med school, and we had some pretty different plans. And then when I got back from Oman, we met up again and everything had changed.
Yeah. What did you think when I said I was going to move back to Oklahoma? Were you like, well, that was a fun first date. See you later.
Not going to lie. I don't really want to live in Oklahoma. But I've never been, so I was open-minded. But yeah, it was definitely, your mind changed a lot, and our lives kind of got more compatible in the next couple of weeks.
I can guarantee you, like maybe later on when more people have listened to this, people will comment and be like, you're not missing out. I'm sure you'll get somebody to say something like that.
There's great things about Oklahoma.
Yeah, but anyway, so talking about plans changing quickly. So like you said, I was planning on starting a business back home in Oklahoma, getting out, moving home. But then my dad, he has been wanting to move to the coast and start sailing. And so we got together to start talking business, and the conversation quickly turned to what his plans were and how he wanted to move to the coast. And asked if I, would be interested in helping and maybe sailing with him or whatever. And I was like, yeah, like 100%, just because of the transition. We've been working, and you have to, we've been working pretty hard and in a job we've just been working for 6 years, and we're in a point where it's a time that we could take a break, or at least I can. You have a little more aspirations than I do, but it was a good time for me to, if I wanted to take a year or two and go sailing, maybe do some school on the side, it was a perfect time for me. So I was in 100%. So our plan was basically, let's find a boat, a place, like a foothold, and somewhere on the coast that we have a place to go to, and then we'll learn how to sail and look at getting bigger boats, if we enjoy it or whatever. So we started looking for a boat, and we did find one, and we do have a boat that, I'll be moving to here in a few months. But like you were saying, plans changed quickly, because after you went to Oman for 2 weeks, the next time we met up, I was like, oh yeah, I was telling you I was going to go to Oklahoma, but now I just decided to go buy a boat and move to Florida.
And I was very happy about this.
Yeah. So then, over time, over COVID, we found a boat. It's in Florida. It's ready. It's a place for us to go and have a place to live and start sailing and learning. And then during that time, we'll start looking for a bigger boat for me and you. And we're pretty much all in at this point, right? Like, it's what's happening.
Yeah. Like, at first it was just going to be him and his dad. And then as we spent more time together, when he asked me if I wanted to come, it was just like a no-brainer. Like, we were both in this place where we were able to have freedom, and we were craving freedom. And this is kind of like the ultimate test of that. And so I, of course, was like, yes, I'm down. I'm in. Let's do it. And now, it's what we've been planning for and thinking about. And it just really aligns with both of our like dreams and values, and we're just so excited to, change it up and start this new journey. So yeah.
Yeah, I literally can't wait.
Yeah, we're really excited.
I feel like we've been waiting for months, especially during COVID. Like, I feel like we're like planning for this, not really going into work anymore. So it's sort of like this weird purgatory of just waiting to be able to go. And
We've been watching a lot of sailing videos. Thank you to all of the other couples who are out there sailing, because they have been our inspiration and our entertainment during this time. And a lot of them spend so much time planning for this, and I can't even imagine how tough that is, like just waiting and waiting, because we've only been waiting for a couple months and we're just like so antsy to get started. And so we're just ready.
I definitely think we took a different approach, but I think it's just because of our situation. Some people, like you just said, they're planning for 5 years or 10 years or till retirement, and we're just like, okay, we're changing jobs. Let's just go right now.
We're
just getting after it. So, but we're both in good situations where, nothing is really holding us back from it. So I think, why not?
Yeah.
I think it's good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the right next step for us. So the past, 6 months or so, we've been in kind of transition mode. We have been trying to enjoy Colorado too. And, we've been like hiking and camping and fishing. And, we went to the Grand Canyon a couple of weeks ago on a big road trip together. And we're trying to, we are pretty adventurous people. And so we're trying to live that out even though we're really antsy to get to the water. But we've been doing that a lot, and then spending a lot of time just planning for the next step. And so, I think our next kind of path is talking about the transition, and we'll tell you guys all about how we got to where we are, because obviously it was a quick transition, but there's a lot of things you need to have set up before you can just do something like this. So we'll try to like explain that a little bit, I guess, and let you guys know, how we made the transition and how you can transition into something that you're dreaming about too on the next podcast.
Hey, thanks guys for tuning in to another Sencilla podcast. Hope you enjoyed listening to our story and getting to know us a little bit better. Be on the lookout for the next episode, where we'll dive into our transition process. If you enjoyed the episode, please give us a rating, follow, or leave us a comment. If you'd like to see some more content from us, you can on YouTube or at our website, sailingsencilla.com. If you'd like to support our mission, you can by searching for Sailing Sencilla on Patreon, where you can get some cool swag and some additional content. Thanks everybody. See you soon.